in the Internet of Things. The other big opportunity, of course, is known in the industry as the smart grid. How can we transform energy? And but in energy, it's even worse. In energy, we have more than 380 protocols. So this industry is not taking off next year, in 2 years, but for a visionary government, for an opportunity to create new industries. We have our executive leadership forum, our members sitting here, entrepreneurs who will jump on these opportunities and who will create new companies to be ahead of the innovation game. So, again, take that idea. Everything will be connected. The Internet of Things, the industrialization of the Internet, that will give citizens a different way of consuming technology. Future citizens are going to consume technology as services in a sustainable way. Services that will increase economic climate, it will attract businesses, environmental, it will be green, energy efficiency, and last but not least, socially create a nice environment. Why was Silicon Valley so successful? Because there was an academic world, there was a vision, there was money, there were restaurants. It all came together. Will it all come together here in Bahrain? I think this country, this nation, is well positioned to take off with new innovation. And let me give you some examples of these services and how these services will look. Actually, and I told the press this morning, tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. my time here in Bahrain, I will be virtually connected to Seoul and to Incheon, a city next to Seoul in Korea. And we're going to announce a global partnership where citizens of that new city that's being built in Incheon will communicate from their house via video. They can access healthcare, virtual consult with doctors. But via the Internet of Things, technology will be connected to take your heart rhythm, your blood pressure, and eventually a blood sample. E-governance. Bahrain is leading with e-governance. It will make it even more accessible. You can renew your driving license online because you can do an eye test, you can qualify, you can online fill in the necessary papers. Schools will be connected. Would it be great to know that your kids have arrived at school? After school, you can do tutoring with the teacher. Basically, you can create communities of interest online. And we can do the same on mobile platforms. So these type of things start happening now. We call it Community Connect. On the background, again, the challenge for our engineers and our business leaders, we need a common infrastructure. You can run safety and security. You can run transport. You can run information technology, energy management, smart grids, over one infrastructure, and that will make it affordable and not at cost. These are all new opportunities for new businesses, managed services and hosted services. So what about the underprivileged areas of the world? What about these 600,000 villages in India? What about the African countries who are not in place and who are not urbanized yet? Broadband, video collaboration, hosted and managed services will make it possible with a visionary governance and broadband in place to deliver education for $1 per student per month. And these will be price points that we need to get this young population educated. And healthcare. Healthcare, virtual healthcare, access in a virtual way to hospitals and to specialists can be delivered $1 per consult. That will make it affordable and that will scale the development of the underprivileged areas. So urbanization, ruralization comes together in community thinking. Embrace a vision, embrace technology, use technology as the enabler and get executed around it. Wouldn't that be a great thought? A lot of people said, so Wim, is that affordable? What are the costs? What is the benefit? I had an analyst meeting this morning, and of course analysts, they always want to see how you monetize things. Can you make money? Is it sustainable? It is. It is. Why? This is a white paper that we have published. In 20 years, if you embrace that concept of consuming technology as services, this is a community of 5 million people. It can generate an addition $15 billion. 9.5% additional GDP growth, energy efficiency 30% better, and it creates new jobs. This is what government leaders want, specifically in areas where the population is getting younger, where we have to provide education, where we have to provide jobs, 100 million jobs in the next 20 years in this region alone. So, I want to close off on my slides, on my formal introduction to you. And I want to tell you, the story of my life. I'm Dutch. I was born on a small island ahead of the coast of the Netherlands. And I was 14 years old. 14 years old when we got television at home. I was 20 years old the first time I flew. I was 30 years old when I got my first cell phone. And, my other son is 10 years old. We had a big debate the other week. And he said, Dad, I want to have a cell phone. And then he made the deadly mistake. And because I said, you're too young for this, he asked, how old were you then? At that moment, the argument stopped, of course. But he can't imagine that I survived 30 years without a cell phone. I was 40 years old with my first VPN connection. I was 50 years old when I had my first telepresence session at home in Bangalore. And before you now ask wondering how old is this guy, but that's absolutely not the point. The point I tried to make, it is very hard to think 10 or 20 years out from a technology point of view. Technology adoption will go faster. Because if you live in a society like this part of the world that's getting younger, if you put young people, if you put children in telepresence room, what will they do? They just play. They just play. And they use the technology, they consume the technology. So my point to you, in an environment that's getting younger with visionary government, take the opportunity and transform it in business. Create new industries. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my message to you. What I want to do next during this inaugural session on networkers, almost 3,000 engineers with us. We have a group in Cisco that we call the Emergent Technology Group. And as we have so many technology people in the audience, we had invited Duncan Mitchell as our Senior Vice President in the region, Martin de Beer, our Senior Vice President, to be with us in this session. Unfortunately, Martin had other priorities on the other side of the world, in California. But shall we try to connect with Martin virtually? Shall we see if technology can work here live on stage? So let's give it a try, and now my heart rhythm is going up, ladies and gentlemen. That's Your Highness. Martin, we had asked you to be with us today. Martin, can you hear me? Can you join us? Are you there? Ladies and gentlemen.
How are you?
Martin de Beer, 12,000 miles from us, live connected and stepping in. Martin, I have 3 questions for you. First, thanks for joining us. Because for you it's an early morning. What time is it for you at the moment, Martin?
I'm just waking up, Wim. It's around 7 o'clock here, but it's great to be with you, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. So, Martin, being 12,000